Good morning, everybody. This is Patrick Thomas over in Australia from Boys Talk. And this is one of the first videos that we are going to do, hopefully the first of many, on mental health, mental well-being, and everything that we've been putting up in the last week or so. We have a mindful master in Australia, John Shearer, who I'd like to introduce to everyone. John is going to talk us through some experiences he's had in the past, and he's going to define for me in particular what a mindful master actually is, because although we've got a good idea, it'd be nice to have it actually absolutely defined. John, you take it away there. I won't interrupt you. Welcome and thank you.
Thanks, Paddy. Yeah, I've been on quite a journey, and I'll start in 1982, and I died in a truck crash. And I was pretty smashed up. My dog was killed, and I had a lot of physical injuries. I had to have operations and things, but that was nothing compared to the 15 years I was stuck in the mental health system. And after 15 years of being depressed and suicidal and all the rest of it, and being on a smorgasbord of medications, you know, I had what I can only describe as my spiritual awakening. At that time, I was told by mental health professionals that what I had was incurable, that I'd have to take medication for the rest of my life, and that I'd never work again. And I believed them, because what would I know? I'm just a truckie.
Of course, yeah.
Anyhow, I had my spiritual awakening in 1997, and then got my life back. But I was still having a lot of unhelpful and negative thoughts, like we all do.
Yeah.
I think everyone does, because everyone's had past traumas, and we get those things revisit us from time to time, and they can get us down. And all that is fairly normal, because that's how our brain operates, and thinks it's keeping us safe because it doesn't want those things to happen again. So that's why it reminds us.
Yeah. So
I could handle those unhelpful and difficult thoughts okay with my newfound ideas about spirituality and, you know, walking in the light, and because that's what I did. I stepped from the dark into the light. It's a good way to describe it. So I could handle it okay. But then in 2009, when we decided to move north, and we're about to move north again, what would I do? So I really searched my heart and started surfing the internet. And what I found was a book written by an Australian doctor. He's world famous, actually, Dr. Russ Harris. And he wrote a book called The Happiness Trap. Great book. And it's all about mindfulness and ACT therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, which means we accept our thoughts no matter what comes along, and with a mindful practice. And that's what I'm going to explain today, all about what mindfulness actually is. And then, you know, we go to our values as a way of retraining our mind. And then our mind gets it after a while, and then it won't bring up those past traumas, because we train it not to, by not taking any notice or buying into those sorts of thoughts.
Yeah. It's
quite powerful. And I've made my own therapy these days, and it's along the same lines. It's a mindfulness-based therapy, like most therapies are, CBT, and there's other therapies, modern therapies, and they're all mindfulness-based. That's the common thing. Yeah, it's amazing. Well, I teach people to use gratitude. So when that unhelpful or negative thought shows up, we pause, we be mindful, and we don't buy into them at all. We don't react. We don't do anything with them. And then we go to gratitude and start thinking of some things we're grateful for. And that's a great way of, you know, creating new pathways in our mind. It really is. Yeah, so mindfulness. If you Google "be mindful, pause, connect," you'll find me, because I've made it my thing for many years now. Be mindful, pause, connect. So if you're watching this today, write it down, like Paddy is now. Put it on a sticky note, you know, put it in your car or on your mirror where you have a shave or whatever. Be mindful, pause, connect. So how I teach people, be mindful is a key thought we use. Anytime we notice our mind being unhelpful or negative, we notice our mind in the past, which can make us depressed, or in the future, which can make us anxious, especially these days, then we use the key thought, and it's an instruction from our heart to our mind. We tell ourselves, be mindful. And then we allow that to trigger a pause. It only takes a few seconds. We pause. We can do this any time of day, and we should regularly throughout our day. And in that pause, we connect, and we connect in 3 different ways. We connect with where we are, and we use our 5 senses for that. We connect with who we're with full presence. That means not thinking about something clever to say next or having any agenda. It just means being fully present. It's the greatest gift we can give our loved ones, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And the 3rd way we connect is with our source, whatever you believe that to be. Connect with it, because that silence we create, those few seconds of silence, when we connect with the nothingness where everything is, can become very powerful. A very simple practice. Be mindful, pause, connect. And when we do start that practice, and it is a practice, and it's a spiritual practice as well, once we start connecting with our source and creating that little silence in our mind, pausing our mind, then it opens the doorways of creativity. It switches on our intuition. That's just a couple of things.
Yeah.
And so I'll encourage everybody, especially blokes. So this is the boys talking. Start your practice. Start. Each morning when I that's the first thing I do. I've been doing it for many, many years now, 13 years actually, since 2009. First thing in the morning, what are we doing today? Sol, S-O-L. It's an ancient Roman word for the sun, because I see the sun as my source. That's just me. That's my source. And I like that because, well, it's source for the whole planet as well. Without that sun, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So what are we doing today, Sol? And then I'll pause my mind, and out of that silence comes the highest priority thing. It's amazing how we can prioritize it. We might have 500 things to do, and they say to be successful, you need 500 things to do. But, we can only do one thing at a time, and we should only do one thing at a time. So what's the highest priority thing? And we do that. It's quite amazing. It's an excellent way to start every day. And things come to me when they're meant to, not in my time frame. I've learned to be very patient. And it happens in the universe's time, not ours. And honestly, I do believe there's a plan for all of us. We all have a purpose. I often say to people, the greatest antidote for depression is finding our purpose. Once you've got a reason to get out of bed in the morning, wow, life becomes exciting again.
That's right. It's the old saying, isn't it? May all your dreams come true, but one, isn't it? And I love that saying. We need something to live for, and if you've achieved or so-called achieved everything, well, it's curtains, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, Paddy.
Yeah.
And I know it'll be the same for you too, especially here in Australia, but probably in Ireland as well. You say to your mate, "How you going, mate?" "Oh, good." And that's the typical response you get. "Oh, good." Even if they're going shit.
That's right.
I'll say, "Oh, good," because they're men.
And it's the typical reflex response, isn't it? And just to touch on what you said earlier, you said you went to the doctor when you weren't well, and I know this because we're conditioned from young children to accept what somebody in a white coat tells us. We're told, well, they know best, and they do know a lot of things, and they've trained and all, and I wouldn't dismiss anything that a doctor knows or even medication. I've tried medication. It like you, it didn't really work well for me, but they don't know everything.
No.
And we shouldn't just assume that these people know everything. You know, I think about these things, and, you know, people say, oh, go to a financial advisor. Well, the first question you want to ask the financial advisor is, how much money do you have in the bank? And if he doesn't have more money than you really shouldn't take advice off him. And I think the same goes for a doctor. You know, I mean, what is that individual's mental health? Is he on medication all the time? And if he is, that's okay if it's working for him. But if he doesn't understand mental health, he's probably not the best person to be giving advice on it. You know, and you know, just popping into my head as you're saying these things. You know.
Absolutely right. I'll just share a little story, Paddy.
Yeah.
A lady rang me one morning recently, well, it was probably last year now, about 8:30 in the morning. And the first thing she said was, I don't want to be alive anymore. Whoa. Yeah, go on, tell me more. Well, it turns out she'd been to a funeral the week before and someone gave her my name, and she built up courage to phone me. And I said, can you come into town? She was about 40 minutes out of town. Yeah, she said. So she came in and had a session with me, and she got new perspective on spiritual things, because she was living with an Aboriginal man and her friends. She had Aboriginal friends and whatever else. And I gave her a bit of insight into Aboriginal culture. And I told her about a word here where I live on the East Coast in Bundjalung language, because there's different dialects around Australia.
Yeah.
And in Bundjalung language, there's a word Ghana, G-A-N'-N-A, Ghana.
Right.
It's a thousands of years old practice. And the practice is to help people who are traumatized, like a death in the family, for example. So someone's traumatized by this, they've lost a loved one, whatever. So they go to the spiritual guru of the tribe and taught Ghana. And Ghana practice involves going bush, spending time in nature, in other words, and practice deep listening, which is listening beyond our thoughts, which is mindfulness. And when we do this, when we start pausing our mind and listening to spirit, to bush sounds, whatever, out there, then we start to get healing, actually. And nature has a way of connecting with us as well, because we may have something on our mind when we're in the bush walking, whatever, and, you know, 3 birds might land on a branch near us, or an animal might run out of the bush, and we get confirmations and things happen. And it's a powerful practice. It's very ancient, and you find these ancient practices all over the globe. It doesn't matter what culture.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
there. You'll find it, and they're spiritual practices, and that's what we really need to get back to. And I'm part of a mental health forum here in New South Wales. New South Wales is made up of local health districts, LHDs they call them. And my local health district, I had 4 years, it was like an appointment, it's finished now, on this forum. And because the government decided that they wanted to consult people with lived experience of mental disorder. And I was talking to her, the manager of mental health and alcohol and other drugs in our health district, which includes all our hospitals up here in northern New South Wales. And I was telling her that story, that this girl found, she got a spiritual perspective, went away and got her life back with this new perspective. And she said, yeah, I agree with you, John. I said, but how do we do it? Because she said to me, where do we go wrong in mental health? Oh, that's right. I quoted her black dog figures that just came out at the time. 72% of people who suicide are known to the mental health service. That's pretty disgusting when you think about it. That's nearly 3 out of 4 people who suicide are known to the service.
Yeah.
And when I quoted that to her, she says, you're right, John. You know, what are we doing wrong? I said, well, there's no culture or spirituality. There's none. There's nothing. I said, and she said, well, how do we do it? And I said, well, it's not about calling in the Catholic priest, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, but thankfully today, after 4 years, there was one peer support worker. Now there's 6 in my area, and this would be the same in every area. So the government is starting to consult the voice of lived experience and referring their clients or consumers, they call them. I don't like that term much. Consumers of mental health service, to peer support workers. And so anyhow, so we're gradually getting there.
Yeah. You would wonder with the mental health, the way it is, and it's recognized now that it is a problem for, as we said, there's nobody in life that doesn't have struggles from some time to another. And yet we don't teach anything about it in schools, whether it's mindfulness, whether it's just basic awareness on how to spot it or anything. Like, it's incredible. And it should really start at a young age. You see, there's more young people now losing the battle with mental health, and people in their low teens, and you hear young children being bullied or whatever as young as 9 or 10, and actually, they lose that battle too. And it just blows me away that as much as the governments and all talk about it, and it's the same in every country, it's only talk.
Yeah.
No, there's no action in the whole space, and it's a real, I don't know, it's a real concern. I was talking to Tomo about the other day, and one of the things that I think for young people in particular is that we're setting them up for failure just by, I have a couple of kids, they don't keep scores in the footy games. That's ridiculous, because they say it's about taking part, it's not about winning or losing. Well, learning how to lose is part of your mental development. That's how we learn about rejection and all. And when these children, by the time they get to their teens, they don't understand what failure is, which is such an important part of developing.
Is it ever?
And we think we're protecting these young children, and we're really setting them up to fail. I think it's contributed hugely in the blowout in the last few years. Not just that one particular aspect, but the fact that we, I'll go as far as to say we reward non-excellence, which, and I don't mean that in a bad way. People get offended when I say this. Like, the kids will come home and I got a letter for trying hard today. I said, well, did you really try harder? No, not really. Okay, so you just got an award for nothing because they didn't want you to feel left out. And there's nothing to actually push young humans to strive for anything greater, and all for fear of failure and fear of rejection. That's what we're trying to protect them from, which when you become an adult, it's unavoidable. It's part of the chaos of being alive.
There is no failure. That's the truth. No, they're all learning.
That's exactly right. It's
once
a lesson.
You start looking at your whole past life as one learning experience, puts a different perspective on things. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more, John. It's just absolutely we don't make mistakes. We just get new lessons. Yeah.
Well, it's been great having a chat with you, Paddy. We'll do it again sometime.
I would love that, John. There's so much more I want to pick out of your brain. And another time. It's been great. Best of luck with your move, and stay in touch and stay on the group.
Yeah, for sure I will. No doubt about it. I love what you're doing, because us as blokes, we've got to start talking more. That's for sure. The girls go okay at it.
Yeah, they definitely, they're more open to. I think, like, the studies will show women are in general they think more with their feelings than guys, and that's probably another thing it's beaten into us as kids. Don't be crying, things like that. You're okay. It's only a cut, So
we'll make the takeaway for today: be mindful, pause, connect. That's the simple practice. It's deceptively simple, actually. So start practicing, okay, and teach your kids.
Will do, John. Thanks very much, John.
No worries.
All the best. Look after yourself. Take care. Bye.